and concentrated gateway, now spread over the earth. The reason it's spread over the earth is because the human being and the human ego is potentially morally developed enough now to transform it. It's the fallen gods which have to be transformed by the human being. That's with the Christ being the solar logos working through. And what is that being symbolized here? That is the heart, the realization of the extraordinary mystery of love, which is beyond anything that's ever been written about it. But it is in a literary sense, it's when the mind, when wisdom is in the heart and love is in the mind, and they flow together in a way which is never manifest on the earth. And it's a power that will redeem both the Luciferic and the Ahrimanic. And what will it bring in the future? Of course, this is where materialism has distorted so much of our perception of reality. I mean, the instruments of modern science have determined the thoughts that scientists have about the universe as they pass through their instruments, so the perceptions die. And it's almost as though, and they see a corpse. The instruments actually kill the true being of the universe as the perceptions of the universe. So their concepts about the universe are things, the theory of everything, rather than the actuality of every being, which is what is really coming through that. And this universal thingness is what, you could say, we're like a seed. The great cosmic fall, in the cosmic autumn, we fell as seeds. And for thousands of years we've been in the cosmic winter, waiting in the dark soil of materialism. And now the cosmic spring is on the horizon, and those seeds that are open to it will both die and be born. Seeds die before they're resurrected. They go through a point where they forget the previous summer. All that is of the past goes in the seed. It becomes for a moment a mineral, a dead, like a stone. And then the spring comes, and it is resurrected with the dream which becomes the reality of the summer of the future. And that's what's happening now to a certain extent. I mean, Steiner pointed out there will probably be lots of psychological breakdowns of people, because this is like the seed has to die before it can be reborn, before it can open up. It has its form, has to disappear, as opposed to the stone that rigidly holds its form against all cosmic influence and eventually shatters. The seed, the stone can say to the seed, look, I'm stronger than you, I can crush you easily, I'm heavier than you. But the seed says, no, you may think you're stronger than me, but you're finite and I'm infinite. I'm an infinity of forests and you're just there. And that's the difference between the scientific fact and the cosmic truth. Truth is like a seed, it grows, it's infinite. The facts of modern science will all be changed, will be transformed. In fact, the further, I've said it many times before, the further science goes out into the universe, back into the past, into the future, the more distorted it is, the more it is stained by the limitations of materialism. And you know, it works on the level of mechanics, it works on the level on the earth of but that's working with dead materials, dead machines. It's brilliant. Newton, all that stuff is right, but it's not right in terms of the living. It doesn't understand the living. It's imposing mineral and mechanical principles upon the living world, and that's very dangerous. And what counters that then is, people retreat from that in their soul being, and they then can very often fall into the Luciferic trap. They want anything to escape from that, and the awareness, because that has to be challenged, and that brings in another being, the being who is in a sense the cosmic being of true cosmic intelligence. This is what identified as Vidar, or the Archangel Michael. This is a being whose task is to activate the heartfelt thinking, the imaginative consciousness. Blake speaks about this loss at the anvil, who is hammering in pain against Urizen, who is this figure who is clamping down with this limitations of the rational. There are so many people who are terribly proud of the rational, but they have no conception of the supra-rational. There is something beyond the rational. All they see is that there's the irrational and the rational, or the pre-rational, which there are those, but there's something beyond what we call rationality. And that rationality, which came really in the Enlightenment, so-called Enlightenment, is now we've gone beyond it. It's gone past its sell-by date. It has to be, we have to say, yes, it has something, we can transform it, it's there. Everything we've learned in science is valuable, but it's also got to be completely transformed. I said that before, it's a lot of these, even Einstein, what they think they're talking about, they're not talking about. Actually, it's something else. What I really want to do, actually, I'd rather have more interaction than me just rabbiting on endlessly. So, I mean, whatever you want. I mean, it's good to have questions and more free interaction, really. So that's what I'm thinking. I don't know whether everyone's gone to sleep or Shaheen's gone out somewhere. But I don't know if you...
Very interesting, but I'm a humanist and I don't really believe in life after death.
Well, that's fair enough. I mean, but I would say, you know, it's best to say, I know there isn't, or I know there is to be open-minded. That's why I always say, you know, to be an agnostic is a healthier thing than to be an atheist. To be an atheist is just
no, I'm not an atheist.
Yeah, well, but you know, to be open to the possibility. I mean, my view is that, you know, having looked at all these different thoughts, and I study a lot of science, I spend my life studying it because I know I've got to deal with it. Is that the paradigm that includes the superphysical dimensions is infinitely more interesting. You enter realms which are vast, whereas if you really study modern science, a lot of it, actually, when you come to the final statements, it's actually very, they know the world's going to end in 4 billion years, the Earth, the universe in 13 billion years. You know, they've got it all worked out, they know exactly what it consists of, it's dark matter. They say, oh, we don't quite know what dark energy is, but they know it's dark energy, and know it's matter. You know, they've already fixed certain thoughts. They're already graven images. They're there, and that's what people retreat from, rightly so. You know, and you hear. I mean, it's interesting. You hear all radio all the time. People sort of denying and sneering at homeopathic medicine or all these ideas, and then at the same time, you might watch a TV program of American police using clairvoyance, and it works. I mean, you may not think those clairvoyants are, you know, the most advanced form, but it works. It works, and that is, I mean, their police are not only well known for being sort of open to the spiritual, but if they use clairvoyance and they know it works, it says there's something more. There's more than what, you know, your scientists say, because humanism is really the offspring of modern science, because it basically agrees with what most scientists think, which is there isn't anything out there. It's just what we say there's out there. And that's, of course, not the Oriental view. If you go to Oriental, even the Oriental scientists will say differently. There is more. If you're a Taoist scientist will say, no, we think there are other dimensions. The Kabbalists, you know, they'll say, of course, there are loads of other levels, you know, beings, because we can't see them. I mean, it's like this whole thing of a dog coming into a room. A dog, what does a dog see? It doesn't see anything we see. Doesn't see a table or a chair, doesn't see a camp, doesn't know, you know, what does it see? It's like when I say that's the same equivalent of us. It's surrounded by things we don't see, but they're there as much as our things are to an animal. But it's, you know, it's that openness, stretching the mind in all kinds of ways, the open possibility. I mean, that's, my own father was a psychologist, a professor of experimental psychology. And, you know, he was surrounded by people, he was trained in orthodox science, but he rebelled against it completely. Because he said they're closed-minded. You know, when he was going to do this, take this chair of Arthur Koestler's on parapsychology, but he didn't take it because he realised they had an agenda to try and disprove it. And he said, you know, they're just closed-minded. He said he's convinced there's more. You know, there's more than we know, and it's just a scientific method is designed, built in is the design of denial. You know, the whole thing is built on denial. I mean, it's a very complex thing. I'm dealing with Ahriman, not Lucifer. Lucifer is the one who sweeps you away into, you know, beauty and, in a sense, but it's the beauty without goodness. That's Lucifer's, and that becomes glamour, it becomes the mask, and it's very seductive for all sorts of reasons. And one of the great manifestations of Lucifer is the being of Lilith, the female manifestation. You know, Lilith was the first wife of Adam.
With Lucifer, that's religion, and I believe in a way, like Karl Marx, religion is opium for the masses. It's just something to hold on to because they're too terrified.
Well, yes, you can, no, but you see, the other way is...
Marx was a Satanist. He before he wrote Das Kapital, he wrote a play about Satan and how he's going to bring it down, the world down. Yeah, most people don't know that, but it's, just Google it. Is there, the evidence is there.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is that Marx himself, I would say, was for a while he was possessed. He had some great soul in some ways, but he was definitely possessed by an Ahrimanic sense of nihilism. I mean, and Lenin, look what the fruits of that were. I mean, see, when you compare people, the fruits of what people do, you compare, the fruits of the Russian...
Yeah, but look at the religions, they're all killing each other off.
Yeah, well, wait a minute. This is, people always say this, but if you look at it like this, okay, now let's look at the whole of the 20th century. 99% of the wars were not about religion at all. They were about land, they were about property, they were about possession, they were not religion.
Right.
And that's, and also people always say...
Any reason is good, as long as you kill each other.
Yeah, as long as you what?
Yeah, as long as you kill each other.
What religion is good?
Any reason
is good to kill people.
Well, yeah.
It doesn't matter whatever it is.
Nietzsche said the bloodiest century would be the 20th century. He said that in 1888, the secular age. 200 million people were killed, more than any other. Because God is dead, everything is permitted.
Yeah, quite. Exactly. I mean, the thing is, yes, there's been a lot of abuse in religion, like the Spanish Inquisition, but also you seem to forget there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people today, and have been through the last few hundred years, who've done incredible work, just humbly serving people, feeding people. Whatever you think about it, you may not agree with their ideas. People at Christian Aid, they go out there, they do things for people, that on a very basic, there are a lot of things that other people wouldn't do. They do, so that's...
Yeah, they all get AIDS because they weren't allowed any condoms, were they?
Yeah, but that's just one manifestation of that, the Catholic bigotry. But there's also many, many people who have long-time breathing exercises, asanas. He'd go up a mountain, he'd meditate on a very specific thing, and he said, if you do what I do, you will have an exact experience like I have. You will see certain things. And that's how they develop these realities. And it's also like, when they search for the Dalai Lama. They seek for a child who knows and remembers exactly all these things. I mean, in the East, their whole idea is that the human being is the instrument for investigating the universe. If you work on yourself, you can enter other worlds. That's what Buddha did. He ascended, as what the Jacob's ladder. He ascended the Kabbalistic tree. He entered the reality of other worlds. Otherwise, if you believe only what modern science says, we can't go anywhere. We just have to tell what they say. We're just a bag of molecules, a victim of our genes. We can't do anything with our body and our mind.
So the answer is the discipline and altered states of consciousness?
Exactly. Through meditation, you start your diet, and I don't just mean food, what you drink, what you look at, colours, shapes, forms, that evolves your being. That it takes you to another level. Sorry?
I do meditate.
Yeah, well, that's good.
And I do exercises, breathing exercises.
Well, that's good. That's great.
From there on, because obviously Steiner's ideas have been accepted by a lot of people. From there on, okay, so he did the meditation and reached a certain state, like other human beings can do. What was it that got his ideas to spread? In other words, how did he gain a following?
Well, he gained a following partly because he did give a lot of lectures to workers who were building this building, and he gave them tips on education, on medicine, and they worked. He worked with a child who's handicapped, and he tried out, and it worked. The thing about what Steiner does is it nearly always works. If you go to the schools, the kids come out of schools, they're great. They're just completely different from the nightmare teenagers that often come out of our mainstream schools.
Is his school the Montessori? What school
is it? No, that's Waldorf. But they're similar to Montessori. They're quite similar. They have similar ideas.
But this is the whole idea of, just this idea of the fruits of things. The evidence is there. I mean, Steiner started his agricultural course just by giving a handful of lectures to a handful of people, and yet this has grown organically into a worldwide movement. And why? Why do people take it up? Because they know they can see it working. And it's the same with the schools. I mean, the whole thing started from just founding that one school and teaching a handful of teachers, and it has grown organically, and people have passed that knowledge on to other people because it's true knowledge. It truly does something.
Is this author, this person is connected to another one called Immanuel Swedenborg?
Well, not directly, but Steiner talks about Swedenborg.
So he's after Swedenborg because
he's after Swedenborg.
So because many things that you just talk about, Swedenborg mentioned, like this thing about the upper beings and the beings. It's exactly the same thing.
Well, it's
the natural being, the celestial being, and the middle being, and the world of spirits is the same thing. It looks like he got the framework from someone, because I know Swedenborg was the very first one, and he's
well. I mean, the thing is about Steiner is that Steiner's biography is that he was connected with Goethe. He was connected with Madame Blavatsky, who had taken knowledge from certain beings in the East. She channeled it. Now
Illuminatis.
What?
She was the, one of the Illuminatis.
Yeah, well, she was very considerate. She went, and she went,
She was propagated their ideas, against the humanity.
Yeah, but
she was a 33-degree women's free lodge, and they've got a theosophy in Kensington. John Gaster broke into it. He got arrested. And they all were flowing. No, thank you. They all were flowing dresses as if they're masters. And
that's crazy.
Their head is up to their head. But talk about the how people get trapped into this new age trips or spiritual or religious things which can take up their lifetime.
And can I quickly add to that just a small thing? Recently, I've noticed a growing war, or it seems to be the dividing lines between the New Age and Christianity, which seem to be directly opposed, because New Age, outright within the design of New Age, they talk about we're moving into the age of Aquarius, which is good and it's science, and Pisces was bad and it was religion and it was Christianity. And then Christianity says, don't go for the astrology sort of thing. So it's almost like it almost seems designed. If somebody was out there designing things, it's almost like they're designing a spiritual war on planet Earth between Christianity and the New Age.
Yeah, that is true. But I mean
the number of places I go nowadays where I'm not even allowed to say the word God, and people will jump down my neck. Christian.
No. The gods are killers. Why are we talking about the gods? Why you want to?
Let's hang on.
Very, negative energy.
Well, hang on. I mean, Steiner speaks about a God. One shouldn't make that negative. I mean, there's lots of different ways of looking and experiencing. I mean, if we've got go back to Blavatsky.
But fact is fact. You can't change it.
No, well, that's the whole point. You can. If you look at Blavatsky was like every human being, some darkness and some light. I mean, she was definitely. She brought the tremendous body of knowledge that was cut in a sort of semi-channeled way that actually the incarnation of Lucifer brought 2,000 years before Christ in the East, a vast area of knowledge accessible to the West. She brought it to the West, and then the Theosophical Society did, and they also distorted it somewhat. Steiner was in there, and then this whole thing with Krishnamurti came along, and real credit to Krishnamurti, because he didn't say, I am the divine embodiment, I am the master. He said, no, I'm not. And that was a really good, and Steiner broke away, and what Steiner did, he linked that Eastern knowledge, which we need. It's going to all come together in a super paradigm, something that's never ever existed before on the earth is going to come. Some science and art in a fusion of vast and deep dimensions, and that begins with the unity of understanding how Hinduism moved into Zoroastrianism. Then there came the Egyptian civilization initiations were there, they were prepared. Moses then brought the Ark of the Covenant. This goes to the temple. The Greeks, the Plato, Aristotle, they were developing something, and then this goes into Northern Europe. And of course the Roman thing links then to the Christian thing, which forms the Roman Catholic Church. But still, other things are going on.
You're saying Lucifer, but Lucifer, that's from the Bible. That's Christian again, isn't it, Lucifer?
What? Is what?
You call Lucifer. Lucifer is the Bible, isn't it?
Well, not just the Bible, it's in the apocryphal books. You could call it many things, a light bearer. It's Lucifer, the being Lucifer is mentioned in other books apart from the so-called Christian books. Yeah. But not the same name.
But Freemasons.
But I mean,
is Lucifer the one that's responsible for human beings having a neocortex? And were we animals before the Garden of Eden? Were we living in paradise as animals without a neocortex or prefrontal?
Well, yeah. The thing is, you see, the point is what I tried to say before is that through the activity of the contraction and densification of the creation, where things contract and bodies come into themselves and they're sealed up. I mean, we, as human beings, even now, only look at the surface of the physical world, the surfaces of everything. The greater volume of the physical world is actually hidden from our perception. That's where Ahriman is. And it's Lucifer who gave us the ability to look at the surfaces, and the beautiful surfaces sometimes, the entrancing surfaces. That's where the physical world seduces us in many ways. And the New Age is partly that. I mean, the whole thing about the New Age, what they try and do sometimes is to dress up.
Sorry, who was Ahriman again?
Let me finish with that.
Yeah.
Ahriman, I'll come back to that. When these gurus sort of put these lights around themselves and they dress in these flowing robes, they're trying to reanimate the ancient sort of feminine, but the dark feminine, in a way which seduces the acolyte, the disciple, because it's like a womb, it's a kind of spiritual womb they go into. So a lot of them say, worship me, think only of me, and you'll be fine, but also pay a bit of money, put it in the side, because I have to keep going. I need my, whatever it is, my 5 Rolls Royces, because otherwise I can't, which has happened.
What do you think of Osho?
Which what?
Osho.
Osho, you mean Rajneesh?
Yeah.
Yes, he was, And then of course Sai Baba, and there are others,
He died.
Yeah. What do you think of him?
So God kicked the bucket. I mean, I was, it's like interesting.
Dodgy.
Definitely. Because my golden rule in this one is anyone who says
he might step out of the line and was killed.